Hello friends, welcome to another lecture of Excel training. Today in this lecture we'll learn about information functions. When we talk about information functions, basically information functions, what exactly they do is they check the value inside a cell, and then these functions help us to find out the type of content in a particular cell. This is what information function does. So now having a look at the, now if we have a look at the information functions which you have, you can go to data, or so you can go to formula and click over here more functions, and over here under information functions you'll find the list of all the information functions. So out of all these functions we are basically covering the functions which are starting with is. These are the functions which you will be using maximum number of times whenever you will be doing any stuff on the Excel sheet. Now, in order to understand these functions which start with is, we have a long list of functions like is blank, is error, is even, is logical, is NA, is non-text, is number, is odd, is ref, is text. In order to understand what all these functions mean, we have selected a test cell. We have given some value like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is just an arbitrary number which we have entered into this cell. Now when we do is blank, let me press F2 so that you can understand the formula. So equal to is blank B7, it is giving false as the result. That means this cell is not blank. Suppose if we do is blank over here, equal to is tab, let's say this cell, and close. So is blank C8, we are asking Excel to check whether the cell C8 is blank or not. It is giving true as the result because C8 is a blank cell. If we input some value in C8, it becomes false. That means C8 is not a blank cell. This is the way how the is blank function works. So B7 is the test cell. B7, there is some value, that means this cell is not blank. For your further understanding, and suppose if you miss out somewhere, we have also mentioned the function names over here, and alongside it we have mentioned it returns true if. What is the condition in which these functions will return a true value? You can also have a look at it. So like for is blank, we have clearly mentioned the cell should be empty and it should not contain any number or text or any other content. Okay, now is error, again the value is false because there is no error in this cell, it's a proper value. Now suppose if we just do equal to 2627 divide by 0, which we know is an error, this value will become true. Okay, so this is the way is error function works. Now there is a slight difference between is error and is error. Can have a look. So is error is it returns a true value if the cell contains any error other than not available, and is error is it returns a true value if it contains any error including not available. So now I think we have understood this thing. If there is error in a particular cell, it will give a true value. Okay, now let's again go back to our sum number. Okay, next one is even. So with this function we are checking whether this number which you have submitted, whether the number which you have entered over here, whether Is it an even number or an odd number? As of now it's an odd number, so is even is giving a false as the result. Let's put a even number, let's say 248, 284, okay, whatever, 284. Now it is giving a true value. Okay, true is the result. So if it's even, is even will give a true. If this is an odd number, is even will give a false result. Is logical. Okay, we are asking Excel to check whether the data in this cell, whether it is logical or not. It's a number, it is not a logic, so it is giving a false result. Now let's assume we put some boolean value like false, false. It is giving a true value. Okay, so I think now you have understood what do we mean by these numbers. So there is no any error. You can again have a look if you're not understood. Is non-text. Yes, it is a non-text, it's a number, so that is why it is giving a true value for is non-text. Now let's assume if we put some text, maybe Steven, so why it is not giving non-text? Okay, it's non-text, it's giving a false value. It should be, one sec, Steven. Okay, anyways, we'll come back to that, not an issue. So when we talk about, yeah, it's non-text, so that is why it is giving a true value. If it is a text, it will give a false value. It will give a false value if it is a text. Now let's again Control Z. Yeah, is number B7? It is a number. Yes, it will give a true value. Is odd? Yes, it is a true. Is ref? The value is a cell reference. Okay, it's again true. Is text? It is not a text. That is why it is false. See, when we talk about information functions, on their own the IS functions, or majorly the major chunk of information function is IS functions, they are not too impressive. However, we can combine them with other conditional functions to make simple decisions, like along with if function we can test a condition. So we have also mentioned few examples where we have combined the is function with the if function. Now combination of is function with if function. Now let's assume there's a company, and in a particular month this is the total sales which they have done, and the sales people responsible for doing the sale is around 7 sales people, and that means sales per person is this much. So the incentive amount should be 10% of sales per person, assuming that this sales is done by the sales people themselves. Now what we have done, incentive amount, you can have a look at the formula. If is number, if this is a number, if function if we'll use equal to if logical test we are giving as is number. So if it's a number, true should be. If it is meeting if the conditions given are meeting the logical test, then this value should be applicable, that is B8 divided by 10, and if it is not meeting the condition, it should give a not applicable. Now assume that the sales which they have done is not done by the sales people, but the MD through his contacts got this sales figure. So sales people responsible for this sales will be 0. There will be an error and incentive amount will be not applicable. Okay, this is the way how you can manipulate or combine is with if. Now let's assume you are doing some calculation and there is some error. Okay, again use the if function. If is error. If in this cell there is an error, the calculation cannot be completed due to an error. This is the result, otherwise it will give a blank value. Now let's assume it has some number, maybe 6. So nothing has come. Okay. Now again, if there is some error, it is showing blank. There is nothing in this cell. But even if I put a test, it will show you the value, because this is the way how we have programmed this thing. Okay, so thanks a lot for your attention. See you again in the next lecture. Thank you.